Hey everyone, welcome back to the Art of Save Scumming. Khorne is on the menu today. We're talking about the new Khorne Rework. We're going to be talking about the new DLC content coming with Omens of Destruction, as well as the FLC content that everybody gets with the new update. But let's look at the rework stuff specifically first before we hop into Skulltaker. And let's start with, of course, the Skull Throne. The Skull Throne has changed considerably from what it used to be. It used to be a button up here at the top of the screen that did, campaign effects. It started out with 10 turns, and then it was 5 turns, and now they've kind of just turned these into individual cooldowns, and you start out with like this base level, and after you've spent so many skulls, 5,000 skulls, you can access the second level, 15, you get the idea, right? And these add variety, and just give you an idea, like corruption, automatic colonization, this one, post-battle loot, increase, summon from beyond, we've seen that one before. Blood host, summon, have an extra 2 units. You see what we're doing. So as you go up, they get better and better. The Unholy manifestations have changed. So this one, we've seen this one before. Small army, internal war, resets your movement often, or you can, force march right up to an enemy settlement and pop this and then initiate a battle. And there's plenty of ways to use this. I have a dedicated video on how to use this mechanic for Khorne. But then we've changed. So Khorne's Glare, take control of an unoccupied ruin. So that's another thing that has changed. There is now a cooldown on recolonization. So this is an unavailable ruin. Last turn I blew this up. It takes 3 turns where it cannot be touched. You can't colonize it. The enemy can't colonize it. Nothing. The only way that you can colonize one of these that is currently unavailable is if you use this Unholy manifestation here. Khorne's innate background colonization will also colonize. Now, at the higher levels, they still participate in the great game, then you would take control of this settlement, for instance, as a ruin, but it would be your ruin. After you get the second level of this, if you won the great game, it colonizes it as a stable, already built level 2 settlement. Now, these ones I haven't actually used yet. This is a character gain experience, or character experience game, and then raise settlement. I believe that's the same as it was before, but this is definitely a change from what it was before. But the technologies, let's look at the technologies. We've changed this. It's now a bifurcated tree instead of that long, weird thing that they had before. It is a tree, and this tree over here is all of your military stuff, everything from like recruitment cost, changes to charge bonus, ammunition, you get the idea. And then the pillars, and the pillars are sort of similar to what you had before, where you had certain bonuses that you had to get a certain number of them to be able to advance. Well, this is kind of like, well, if you want this upkeep reduction -8, you have to buy all of these. Some of these are really good, like post-battle loot, 10%, great. Rating, not so much, right? But that one's pretty good, and so you have to go through the levels, and some of them are locked behind skulls, right? They've also bifurcated the build chains. So if we look at the build chains, we now have specialized settlements. So, for instance, this, actually, that's not a really good example. This settlement here has the dimensional rift in it. And this specializes this settlement, not the province, but this settlement for demons. So when I go into these build slots over here, if I were to look in here, I cannot build the mortal chain. So I cannot build the building that gives me Marauders, Chaos Warriors, or the Cultists, or any of the higher level like Chaos War Shrine or any of that sort of stuff. Can't build this. I have to build this building chain in this region, right? So bloodletters and things like that. We've specialized this settlement. Same thing with the advanced military. We have now specialized into either this one right here, which is the one that gives you like your demonic stuff, like your demonic cav, your cannon, blood shrine, or the Soul Grinders and the Bloodthirsters, right? Can't build the Chosen building, can't build the Skull Crushers building, you know, the same one that gives you the Exalted Hero of Khorne. Can't build those. Same thing with the other way around. So if I were to go into, now this is a minor settlement, but if I were to select this minor settlement, I can't build, actually that's not showing up that way. So it'll let me build this one, but it won't let me build that one. It'll let me go to level 1 of this building. So if I built this, I could build this one, but I wouldn't be able to build that one. And then it won't let me do the other mortal chain. Now, and the other ones would be locked out if this was a major settlement, right? But this is a minor settlement, so we can only build this one or this one. The other buildings are not available. So there is a difference, kind of like Chaos Dwarves, where there's a difference in what you can build in the different settlement types. Like you can only build like the artillery building in the minor settlements, for instance, when you're building a factory, right? Same kind of concept where they've specialized the build chains in the individual regions within the province. All right, so let's talk about Skulltaker, the new DLC Lord with Omens of Destruction. He has the individual special mechanic of the Cloak of Skulls. We'll come to that in a little bit more detail here in a second. He is predisposed to run a Bloodletter army with upkeep reduction for Bloodletters of Khorne and Exalted Bloodletters of Khorne. So especially in the early stages of the campaign, this is a big boost considering the way that Khorne has played in the past. He has a +2 capacity for Blood Reapers, which is your demonic hero. It is the one that provides campaign movement range, so keep that in mind. And this is something I forgot to mention in the rework. All demons in the game now do the Reforge thing, which is the same thing as the vampire counts, where at the end of each battle, there's a percentage chance that your destroyed unit will come back if it is demonic. He has an increased chance of that. So it makes sense to me thematically, if you've read any of the books, that this should be a thing. And I think it makes sense to me. Anyway, his individual Lord effects: campaign movement range plus 10%, campaign line of sight 100% addition, passive ability Frenzy for Bloodletters and Exalted Bloodletters units in his army, and the active ability Bloody Onslaught. And this is kind of like his rechargeable, hey, you've now got melee defense -24 and armor -30. This is how you end up going in and killing those lords. He is a melee specialized lord, and he starts in Lustria.
Adorn my vestments and cede their strength to me.
He begins at the settlement of Hualatl, and he starts with a Blood Reaper as his starting hero. Your initial war is against this minor Tzeentch faction that has a couple settlements throughout Lustria. He has some buffs in his special skill line that reflect his affinity for demons, the Cloak of Skulls. So these are all built on his special resource, which is the Champion's Essence, and you can see the amount of Champion's Essence that is required here. And you start out down here, these are all like 25 Champion's Essence. So, and then to unlock them, you have to have the connector one. So like if you start here, you start with this one, you have to get that one, and you have to unlock this one and that one to be able to access here. And then this one, once it's unlocked, gives you these two. And then, you know, you have to get this one to get that one and this one to get that one. You see what I'm saying? So you have the option of spreading wide or going vertical. So you can go broad or vertical with these. And there are pretty substantial buffs here. And you start out, again, like 25, 50, 100. For your expenditure, and like this one starts out with 100. I'm assuming that would be 200, and that one would be 300. But you buy the first level, it gives you 25% experience. This one, level 2, gives you 50%, and then level 3, you keep all those other benefits, and then the all the lords you have gain 5% from the experience of a defeated lord. And you get those champion's essence by defeating each of the lords on the map. So there's a consistent pool of champion's essence. So these are all like minor lords here, 16, 17, 18. And it looks to me from playing this campaign that the number of victories that they have increases the value. So like, for instance, this one's a level 2 and this one's a level 3. So this one's a level 1. So 16 level 1, 17 level 2, 18 level 3. So that's how that is calculated. But then you go down here and like this guy, level 8, 25. But then the legendary lords are worth more. So I can't see Skrulk right now because he declared war on me over the end turn for some reason. And he's worth like 46 or something like that, and he is not that high level. For the sake of clarity, it's not good enough to just defeat the army on the campaign map. You must actually kill the lord or wound the lord. So if an army is in force march, for instance, that will get you all of the champion's essence. But if you just defeat the army and it runs away, you don't get the champion's essence if the lord survives. That's how you accrue that. Now, there are some other interesting things in here. If we look, this one specifically allows you to teleport to that lord. Taking a closer look at the Cloak of Skulls teleport mechanic, if I select Skulltaker, this button appears, and this appears only after you've unlocked level 1 of that skill in the Cloak of Skulls. If I click on this, it shows me all the places I can teleport. Now, you'll notice that I can teleport here, but not here. And that is because by default, you have to have half of the champion's essence being offered by the target lord. So in order to teleport here, I would have to have 56 champion's essence. I currently only have 29. So I can teleport there, but not here. And if I were to teleport here, maintains movement. And you'll notice that there was some mathing there that was different. And that is because normally it's a default 10 cooldown. I have this fully upgraded, so it has half the cost, and the cooldown time is reduced by 50% as well. Now, as far as Skulltaker's special equipment is concerned, we have the Slayer Sword, and the Slayer Sword is a item that offers the Slayer Sword ability, which is base weapons damage, it looks like. Skulls gain from kills 15%, weapon strength 15%, melee attack plus 8. And it is obtained by a quest battle. All right, so now let's talk about the Bloodspeaker, which is your new generic mortal lord for all of the Khorne factions. So this is kind of like, think the lord version of your cultist. And he comes with a couple different abilities, and he is a little bit more expensive than the other lord options that you've got. First off, the special ability, Murderous Exhortations, and this is an area of effect spell. You get 3 uses of it, and the second effect is this one that is rechargeable, and it is a melee attack plus 40, melee defense minus 24, and you cannot die. So whatever you cast this on makes it unable to be killed for the duration of the spell. So you can even dip to 0 hit points, still be on the map until this expires. And then your healing, and this is a regenerative ability that you cast on anything on the map, but it comes at a cost. It does damage to this particular character. So you can't just like go around healing everybody because if you're slightly damaged, this will actually kill the character. So that is a look at the effects in battle. Let's look at its skill tree. All right, I have 2 of them here side by side. One of them is on the Blood Shrine. One of them is on the Steed. Normally I start out on foot. Let's go with this one because it's got the most unlocked. This is one of the characters that gets increased campaign movement range somewhere other than Route Marcher and Renowned and Feared. They get it right here in Ardent Pilgrimage with campaign movement range plus 10% and vigor loss reduction. And so this special skill line is pretty unique. We have the minus 15% upkeep for Skull Reapers and weapon strength. This one is Bountiful Pilgrimage, and this is a increase in post-battle loot, but then it also gets the Pilgrimage of Skulls, and this is your Unbreakable instantaneous active ability, so you can cast that on like a demon that's getting ready to go down. Passive ability, Gruesome Display, and that is just a area of effect, 35-meter range, causes fear and leadership and melee attack reduction. Demonic Imprint, speed, and Strider and stuff like that. Control, Khorne Corruption, physical resistance, and then a use of the Gate of Khorne.
On!
The great enemy approaching!
At the time of the filming of this video, I have not unlocked Scar Bloodwrath, and I cannot figure out how to unlock him yet, but I do have Scyla Anfingrimm. So let's take a look at him. Now, he gets the Brass Collar of Khorne, which is a talisman, missile resistance, spell resistance, passive ability, Brass Collar of Khorne, damage resistance and spell resistance, and armor 15%. If we look at his skill tree here, normal stuff that you would kind of see in a generic skill line, but then his special skill line, 15% missile resistance, or excuse me, physical resistance, immune to contact effects. This is for campaign map stuff. Probably won't be using him much on the campaign map. Weapon strength, bonus versus infantry, fueled by rage, which is weapon strength and armor piercing weapon damage. His explosive ability, kill for Khorne. It's a explosion, but the cooldown, 50% reduction. So he gets that by default. This just decreases its cooldown time. And then, of course, it adds terror and leadership in the local region reduction. And this is to buff your kind of monstrous infantry. Glorious Charge for Minotaurs of Khorne, Spawn of Khorne, and the Blood Beast of Khorne units, and charge bonus for the same thing. And then over here, we've got the Gore Feast. And this also adds Disorganized, which removes charge defense versus large and removes expert charge defense from anybody who he comes in contact with, which is different. So the idea, I suppose, would be that you've got a charge going off from, say, for instance, some Chaos Knights of Khorne or something like that. You have this guy smash into it first, removes their charge defense, and allows them to plow right through. And then the last thing that we're going to cover here today is the other Lord. Unfortunately, I have not had time to do this, and I'm going to have to do a separate video that includes him and Scar Bloodwrath, and that is Arbaal the Undefeated, and he is your mortal complement. So think of Skulltaker as demons. Think of this guy as your new mortal lord. So it has access to the challenges of Khorne. I have not had time to play this, so I don't know what the challenges of Khorne are at this point in time. Again, I'll have to do a separate video. I'm just out of time to make this video because I'm going out of town for work, and I'm going to have to do it when I get back. So upkeep, minus 10% for all non-demonic units. So you can see that he's got a predisposition towards the mortal units, and that is a faction-wide effect. Construction cost minus 50% for mortal, military, and defense buildings. So that is a big buff. And construction time minus 50% for mortal, military, defense buildings. And then his Lord effects global recruitment duration -1 for all units in the Lord's army, and weapon strength 10% for all non-demonic units in his army. Passive ability Hellblade for Chaos Warriors, Chosen, Chaos Knights, and Skulltakers of Khorne. And then the Gaze of Khorne, which is an explosion ability. Well, folks, unfortunately, my time has expired, and what I will say is that the majority of the rest of the content has to do with mortal units anyway, so I'm going to do a part 2 dealing with the new units, as well as the content that didn't quite make it into this one, simply because, well, I have to be a responsible adult. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we'll see you in another video here at The Art of Safe Scumming.